Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Is it going to work? I think it's working. Oh, there's 8 of you here already. Caroline says, please like the stream, peeps. Yes, please do. Thumbs up. 8 of you, and there's five thumbs up. So yes. Darcy's here. Good morning, everyone. Nimway's here. Hello again, everybody. Yes, let's finish the Patreon hangouts for the Patreon and YouTube members. So we are back over on the main channel now. Conchetta's here. Hello. So yes, I'm still bruised. I still have my fabulous yellow and purple bruising going on, but I'm not swollen anymore. I was very swollen last week, which is why I cancelled last week's hangout, because it was blue, you know, that fresh bruised blue look, and it was also very, very poofy in that area. So yeah, I was hoping it would have all gone by now, but if I just hold my head like this the entire time, we'll be fine. But trouble is, I think this is my better side. You know how everyone's like, I've got a better side. And it's like, yeah, this is mine. I think. I can't remember. Never mind. It doesn't matter. It's only a bruise. You know what? So how is everybody? I think most of you here are, hello Debbie, hello Vox, hello Conchetta. I think most of you guys that are currently here were over on the Patreon hangout, but there might be some new ones. Joker Clears is here. Morning all, good morning. How is everybody? Have you all seen my D-stash? Please buy my fabric. I will appreciate that some of them are probably pricier than they maybe people think they should be, but also they're that price because I'm two minds about getting rid of them. If they go for that price, I will be happy to send them to a new home. If they don't go, then I will be happy to keep them. So yes. Marie's here. Hello, everyone. Hi. Elena says, and we are back. We are indeed. Peter says, well, hello again. Hello. And Joe says, hello again. Hello. Thank you for joining me over on the main channel. Joker Clee says, tried to move cows yesterday morning and couldn't because there was a new calf in the pasture that was too young to move, like less than 12 hours old. Oh, baby goose. Cute. April says, morning all. Good morning. Good morning. So, yeah. I have done absolutely zero of my So Fruity sewing. So after I've hung out with you guys today, I want to get the double circle skirt cut out, that dress cut out, and I want to start working on the tie front shirt project. So I have lots to do today, but I'm very much enjoying sitting and just chatting with you guys. I'm not going to try and do any of those things whilst we are chatting, because if I do that, I will just end up ignoring you guys and getting deep into cutting out mode, and that's not fun to watch. So yes. Let's see. April says, morning all, good morning. Nimore says, I'm here for now, but we'll be whisked away for some lunch soon-ish. Enjoy your lunch. Dave on Rave says, hi, Sean. Gorgeous looking outfit. Thank you. My very first 8577, the whole thing that started my Lady McElroy obsession. And I bought this fabric from Cotton Reel Studio, I think. And at the time, it was called Snake Corsage. They'd given it a different name. So I based my first collection around this, and yeah, I'm calling it Snake Corsage in the video, and a few people have gone back and watched it and like, Snake Corsage, and it's like, yeah, that's what that fabric company that sold it to me, or fabric shop that sold it to me, called it. But yeah, my start of my love affair with Lady McElroy. Yes, very pleased with this one. Joker Clee says, plus I watched a storm go by down south of the border and found out yesterday morning that it spawned a tornado around 9 p.m. that wrought havoc across half of North Dakota. Good grief. Your weather is crazy. Darcy says, Nimue, food is important indeed. Joe says, don't forget to like the stream. Yes, please do give it a thumbs up. I promise it helps. It sounds like a silly little thing, but I promise it helps. Marie says, good grief, that's a big cup. Yes, it was my birthday present from Elena, and I can get a lot of squash in here, which has been helping with my goals of drinking more. So, yes. Dave and Arabe says, is your outfit made from cool linen? It's sweaty Betty at the moment here in the UK, isn't it? Cotton lawn, 2 layers of it, 10 meters of fabric I'm wearing, which doesn't sound like it should be the coolest of things. But this is actually one of my dresses that fits me at the moment. A lot of my stuff doesn't fit me. And this fits me surprisingly well. So I'm kind of going through my wardrobe and picking out my things that fit, of which there's not a lot. And I don't want to go through and clear my wardrobe out of all the things that don't fit, because there won't be very much in there and it would look depressing. And I don't want to take that much stuff away and be like, oh, I need to fill everything up. So yeah, it's been interesting getting dressed at the moment, because like you say, it's unbelievably hot in the UK, and it's not at all. I think we're supposed to be getting over 30 this weekend. But UK heat, I know we say this every year, and people who live in hot countries take the mickey out of us. And then people who live in hot countries and then come to the UK during a heat wave are like, okay, we take it all back. We are not built for heat whatsoever. We are a humid country because we're surrounded by water, which means that heat feels very different here than it does in other countries. Mind you, Malaysia, very humid country as well. James coming back, he's just like, oh, this is nice. And yeah, our houses are not built for heat, so we're all dying. We're not built for any kind of weather. We need it to just be like sort of 17 degrees, and then we're kind of okay. But then we'll bitch that it's not quite warm enough. But then it gets warmer, and we're like, oh god, no. So yeah, no. But getting dressed at the moment has been interesting because, like I say, half my wardrobe doesn't fit. Joys of perimenopause. Amy says, morning, everyone. Morning. Joker Clear says, and the remnants still wrought havoc halfway across Ontario too. Blimey. You have crazy weather. I'm sitting here bitching about 28-degree heat. Cassie says, oh, yay, I finally have one that's been behaving itself. Most of the times it's forever buffering and impossible to watch. Oh, that's brilliant. Yay. I was worried about the internet today, but it's working, which is good. Joe says, what are people working on today? I'm making a Starlark Como knit top in a blue and white stripe. Ooh, that sounds nice. I was waiting for Mum to pick me up the other day from town, because we both had errands to run in the same place. And I could walk to all mine, and Mum needed the car. So I was walking around Marks and Spencer's looking at all the stuff that they had out for the summer range, and they had lots of red and striped t-shirts that were basically the Gable tee. And I'm like, oh, I need one of those. And it's like, no, you don't. You have your wanted tee with the blue and white stripe with seagulls on it. That's amazing. And it is. So I need to wear that more often because I do like that t-shirt. Unique says, good morning. Or good morning. Joker Clear says, oh, and the same storm tried to wipe out the town of Bemidji, but a town in Minnesota too. Gosh. Yeah, it's pretty wild this year. They almost had 8 inches of snow in the mountains of Montana and Alberta yesterday too. I mean, honestly. Michelle says, morning peeps, finally back. How's everyone doing? Very well, thank you. How are you? Michelle has shopped the D-stash. And so I have a bunch of fabrics I'm sending off to Bermuda, which is very exciting. Darcy says, we had a rain bomb here yesterday, knocked out the internet for 3 hours. Wow. Caroline says, I've just finished my 2nd litre of water. That's impressive. I don't think I managed to get through that much in a day, but I should. Alana says it's 40 ounces, so almost all daily liquid intake in from one place. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely helping. And it's nice because it keeps things cool as well. So it's awesome. Thank you, Alana. Dave Norave says, did I see pockets in that dress? Awesome. If so, yes, it's the 8577. So it has the giant pockets that I absolutely love. G. Gracer says, hello, peeps. Lovely to join you. It's been ages since I caught a live. It's lovely to see you. I've got very dry lips. Sorry. Keep doing that. Nimue says, I'm slowly stitching crochet the last round of the border of this blanket, but it'll be nice to have it completely done. Marie says, I have nothing that fits. I have to resort to buying a few things. Yeah, you said. It sucks when that happens, doesn't it? My thing at the moment is I want to make knit projects, which I've done a lot of. Hello the 80s called, and also wrap dresses. I'm not going to be doing the 8177 button-up dress with the lemon viscose. I'm going to do one of my wrap dresses with it instead, because I find wrap dresses are more forgiving over a greater weight gain and loss. So yeah. Darcy says, laughing in subtropical Florida. Yeah, I mean, exactly. We're bitching about 28 degrees and you're like, excuse me, we're in the 40s here. Like, yeah. I remember like being in Riyadh in June. It was 45 degrees during the day, and it was fine because it was dry heat. We were in the middle of the desert, so it was a dry heat. And I had a swimming pool to fall into, and I had an air-conditioned house that had marble everywhere, marble floors. And so 45 degrees was like, yeah, this is fine. 45 degrees in the UK, I think everyone would die. Because we don't have air conditioning. Our houses are built to retain heat, and boy, do they. And we're humid. It's just humid everywhere. And it's not a usual thing for us. Again, we do the same thing every year. We get like 3 weeks of this type of heat, and we bitch about it the entire 3 weeks. But yeah. Cassie says, ooh, 30. It's been -4 here in Australia. You don't think of Australia getting down to minus. Are you in the southern part of it? David Rave says, the problem is we don't have aircon at home. Yeah. If I ever win the lottery, I am having air conditioning put into every house that everybody I know owns. So, yes. Amy says, oh, the process of sewing the 8997, my first one. Nice. Rachel's here. Hello, lovely. Not too bad in Yorkshire, cloudy and not too hot. Yeah, I saw on your, I watched your video this morning, and I was just like, oh, not too cloudy. It's a bit overcast today. It's not like completely blue skies. There is some clouds up there, so it's not actually that bad today. But we've had a couple of days where it's just been scorching sun, which is lovely. And I live right next to the beach, so we've been down to the beach and sat there and, you know, done the thing where you're like, okay, it's too hot to do anything else, so let's just go and sit and sweat by the beach, because why not? But yeah. Dorset Threads says, morning, everyone. Good morning. Michelle says, Bermuda is hot and sweaty now, too, and I'm fully employing the air conditioning and trying not to go outside. Gig Racer says, I'm not built for heat or humidity, and I live in Queensland, Australia. I'm loving the cool weather here, which I think is like a UK summer. Yeah. I love the reason I bring it up is because I love all the videos that I see from people who come from like Australia, America, China, and they're just like, they're in the UK and they're like, okay, I apologize. The UK heat hits different. This is just wrong. And they're used to living in like 40-degree heat, and then they come here and we have a heat wave because we're just not set up for it. We're not at all. Dorset Thread says, warm but not hot like yesterday here on the Dorset coast. Nice. Charlotte says, hello, I had my colours done last week. I'm a bright winter. Apparently orange is not my colour. One, I'm sad, and two, my fabric stash needs redoing to get more cool tones in it. Oh, interesting. I do love bright winter. That kind of crosses over with bright spring, because I was in the spring category, and Nicola only does the 4 seasons. She doesn't do like the crossover seasons, but I definitely think I lean more into the bright spring, which also then leans into a bright winter. And there are definitely some winter colors that I love and that I probably wear that I maybe shouldn't, but yeah. Oh, I'm sad about your orange though. Orange is lovely. We'll have to do. I've got not to flog a dead horse, but I have got a de-stash going on at the moment, and there are some fabrics in there that are definitely winter palettes rather than spring palettes. So yeah. Peter says, North Wales currently cloudy and only 18 degrees with rain forecast in the next couple of hours, but still quite muggy. Yesterday was much warmer. Joe Clear says, I'm not sure if I should be sewing summer gear, wet weather gear, or winter gear right now. I think you just have to like embrace it and sew all of them and then wear what's appropriate. David Rave says, I lick my lips at the thought of a tasty hot crumble in this weather. No no, not a fruit one, but more thunderstorm. The pressure and the heat and the clouds crumbling. I love a good helping of rumble. My sister-in-law loves a good thunderstorm as well. She absolutely loves it when it's thunder and lightning. Caroline says, I need to dilute the amount of alcohol we got through last night. Yes. Dave Monroe says, do your lips as much as you need, Sean? Mine have got a bit dry and crumbly in this weather. Most unpleasant. Yeah. Sorry, everyone, for the moaning. Lol. I know. I'm sorry. I'm just being so British about the weather. It's like, oh no, it's some kind of weather. We don't do well with any kind of weather. It's like, oh no, we've had an inch of snow. Oh no, we are tipped over the 30-degree mark. Michelle says, I wanted to buy the whole D stash, but exercise some restraint. My fabric stash is epic proportions currently. I need to use some of it up, but the pretty's cool to me. Yes, you did pick some very nice ones. So I'll get those packaged up. I'm probably going to get to the post office on Wednesday morning. Unique says, I'm currently working on my 4th deer and doe mycosis dress. It will be around 39 degrees at work this week, so I'll have lots of time inside. Nice. Good Grace said, nothing fits me at the moment. I had a couple of accidents this month apart, which have left me with slow healing injuries and lots of couch time. That equals weight gain and clothes not fitting. Oh, I hope you get better soon. Poor thing. Joe Cookley says, oddly enough, I live on the edge of a desert too, and for some reason this year it's busy sucking up all the moisture heading towards me before it gets here. That's no good. Mim says, I have the same problem. Lost 25 kilos due to an infection, and my closet is empty as it never was. So buying and sewing it is. Cassie says, yeah, I'm in Victoria. Okay. Victoria, Australia. Good Grace says, we even got the negative temps in southern Queensland. They're forecasting more freezing weather later this week, but was 13 to 22 here today. Yeah, that sounds like a British summer. Cassie says, near the alpine snowfields. Oh, cool. Darcy says, Gig Racer, the heat and humidity are not my friends either. And Florida. So, yeah. David Arif says, I love being barefoot at this time of year, though. It kind of makes me feel more productive and creative, offset by the heat, though. Caroline says, that's what Sylvie always says, copes from 40 degree plus in Portugal to 30 degrees in the UK and dies. Yeah. It just does hit different. And it's not that we're special snowflakes or anything. We're just not set up for it. And it's a humid place because of all the sea that we have. We're an island, so humid. Darcy says, the weather is weathering outside. Outside. Dave Monroe says to Joker, please, sew an umbrella, can use it as a brolly or a parasol, or sew swimwear. Either use it for sunbathing or getting around in the rain to dress, or to dress a snowman, snowwoman. Nice. Joker Clee says, I will happily take 45 degrees centigrade and 0 humidity over 30 degrees and 100% humidity. We call 100 swamp ass season or time of the stickening. I love that. Yeah. I absolutely loved Riyadh for the weather. I loved Riyadh for a lot of things. I disliked Riyadh for an awful lot of things too. But for the weather, like at night, it was 35 degrees and Dad had made the outdoor area and patio absolutely beautiful. And you could just sit outside and it was just wonderful. I love that kind of weather because it was dry. It was dry heat. When I think I've told the story before, Dad took me plant shopping and we went to basically there were polytunnels full of exotic plants because obviously that climate, and it was amazing. But they were polytunnels without air conditioning and so very, very humid. And I'm in a abaya, so oh my goodness, did I cook that day. It was the only time in Saudi that I was ever just like, this is uncomfortable. Because everywhere else was air conditioned, marble floors, swimming pool, and dry. Mum and Dad also lived in Daman, which is on the coast, and they said the humidity there was horrendous. Like it was a completely different kind of heat. So yeah, I loved 45 degrees and 0% humidity. That was my happy place. My inner lizard was so happy, and there was aircon inside. So when I wanted to go to sleep, I was cool enough. It was just bliss. I really enjoyed that. Dave and Rave says, gets better soon to Gig Racer. Gig Racer says, thanks to Dave and Rave. Dave and Rave says, Gig Racer, I hate it when temperatures tumble or spike, leads to coughs and colds. Darcy says, we need to rebuild our hurricane emergency kits for the house. Oh, yes. Isn't hurricane season coming up? Or has it started? Remember, I went to Mexico during hurricane season. It was interesting. I was also on a cruise during hurricane. That was interesting. Joker Clee says, when humidity hits here in the summer, you could stick a career politician to the side of the steel railroad car without glue. You always have the best turn of phrase. Amy says, here in Quebec, we have humid heat during summer too, so not very comfortable. Today, though, it's raining. Yeah, it's always nice when you get one of those days where you get a thunderstorm and everything clears out because of the rain and it just feels fresh again. You're like, oh, bliss. Darcy says, dry heat is fantastic because it doesn't hold the heat overnight, so it's not as stifling. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, like I say, Saudi Riyadh was dropping to sort of, it was dropping 10 degrees, 10, 12 degrees at night. But it was still in the 30s, but it's still dry heat. So, it was so nice. I loved that climate. I really did. That was epic. The only thing with that one, I mean, to be fair, I was going to say the only thing with that one is you wouldn't get to wear winter coats, but Mum did have a Karen Millen wool coat that she did get to wear for 2 weeks of the year out there because it did drop to around about 5-6 degrees for the 2 weeks of the winter that they got. The rest of the time it was sort of like over 12. So not like baking warm, but dry warm again. Yeah. Where did I get to? Dave Nareb says, Sean, I know you can't really take your sewing machine to the beach. However, do you ever take hand sewing projects or hand elements of them to the beach and be productive? I know people who do this. No, if I'm going to the beach, I take my Kindle with me and I will sit and read. More often than not, though, these days I kind of cover up and sit under something and just sort of like have lunch and chat with Mum. Because we've walked the dog there and back. But yeah, no, I don't take work down to the beach. I hate sand. I absolutely hate sand. I dislike it a lot, especially when there is like water involved. The desert outside Riyadh, we went a couple of times and the sand there wasn't too bad because it was always dry, so it wasn't sticking to you. So you could get rid of it. The wadis were interesting, but yeah, no, I don't take work down to the beach. Darcy says it's hurricane season now. Dave and Arave says, does anyone do crafts on the beach or is it or in the park? I think any time I've ever done like sewing anywhere other than the sewing room, it's been on trains because I needed to finish something for the event that I was going to. So yes, oh gosh, I really need to work on my posture. Dave and Arave Darcy says to Dave and Arave, loves the sewing a la carte. I'm very happy to do my crafts out in the wild. I think if I knit, I would do that a lot more at different places, although the idea of taking knitting to the beach as well does not fill me with joy because yarn on your lap while you're at the... No, beach for me is a complete turn brain off, read trashy books kind of activity. So yeah. Jokely says one of the Bismarck ND weather folks said that they had pressure levels on the ground Friday night and that were on par with a Cat 3 hurricane, 942 millibars, and a bad storm is normally only 975. And Gig Racer says, I take some embroidery or crochet down to do on trips to the park on the rare occasions I go. Yeah, like I very rarely go to those kinds of places by myself, and if I do, I'm usually taking my book with me. I would happily take my laptop and work, but that doesn't really work outside, or at least it doesn't for me. That would be the one thing that I would happily go and sit and do somewhere else. But no, not any of my crafts. Dave Renarave says, Joker please, lol true. And Marie says, I don't, but I always have a book on me. Yeah. Ooh. Why? There we go. Amy says, oh, made some bias binding with leftovers from my dress, made around 40 meters of it. Nice. Joker Clee says, and I just realized I was only 150-ish miles from the center of that storm when it rolled through. Blimey. Gig Racer says, usually I read though, but charcuterie usually features in some way. Yes. If I'm going out, it's usually for food, either food I've made or food that I'm getting. When I used to go to the beach at Ventnor for a picnic with my ex, we'd always sit on the concrete steps rather than on this, because it was a pebbly beach, so I would always sit on the concrete steps rather than the sand. Yeah. Yes. Charlotte says, I hate sand too. Anything good you're reading at the moment? I am re-listening to the Amelia Peabody stories because they have finally filled in the blanks of the audiobooks. So yeah, and Caroline recommended those to me, and if you haven't read them, they're brilliant. I absolutely love the narrator. I think it's epic. Darcy says, I don't do the beach. I don't burn in the sun. I burst into flames. David and Rave says, that's awesome to Darcy. What's your fave scenery? Coast inland? And that's awesome to Gig Racer. Cassie says, I wish I could work on the beach. The closest beach is 3 hours away. Oh, yeah, mine's like a 10-minute walk. Lynn says, I'm sat in the garden with English paper piecing. Are you working on your Liberty one? Because that's going to be beautiful. Yeah, maybe I should take up something like that. I don't know. Nimue says, crochet is really handy to take along, and I have a project in my work bag all the time. I've also taken English paper piecing along at times. I'm going to... Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. If there is potential idle time, I take something stitchy. Gig Racer says, I'm with you, Darcy. Sand is evil, as is the sun. If I am a seeker of shade and wearer of large hats and much sunscreen. Darcy says, I have done it at the park, at basketball, at softball games, spinning, at Starbucks, hand sewing on planes. Nice. Debbie says, used to cross stitch on trains to and from work when I was on the railway. I do either knitting or cross stitch for a long train journey now. Joe says, I've done cross stitch on a train a few times. Usually, like I say, it's hand sewing on a label to a quilt or hemming something that I want to wear later. Joker Clee says, and what is this vacation of which you speak? Lol. What day is this too? Checks the weather radar, hoping for more rain. Michelle says, everyone assumes that living in Bermuda, we do everything at the beach, but electronics are always difficult out in the sunshine. Yeah. April says, I'm with you about sand. Yes, no, sand is evil. Don't like sand. Dave and Rave says to Darcy, what basketball team do you follow? If they win as you so knit, you've so knitted them luck. I like that. Darcy says they finished the Peabody books. Yes. So I'm re-listening to them all because there's a couple that I haven't listened to yet, and I just want to refresh my memory, and I enjoy them. They're fun. Gig Racer says, I haven't tried English paper piecing Nimue. I wonder if I have the patience. Caroline says, must go fill in our gaps for those books. Yes. David Arave says to Darcy, classic coffee shop crafts. Love it. But how do you get needles and thread on a plane? I don't think you do. Or at least not in your hand luggage. Darcy says, David Arave, the Denver Nuggets. Rachel says, are we still talking about the weather? Just had to rush to bring the washing in. Biblical rain now. Oh, no. We were talking about about the beach. Like, what would you take to the beach? Do you take crafting projects with you if you go down to the beach? David Rove says, nice. I loosely follow Nick's, but I have a good friend out there that follows the Celtics. Darcy says to David and Rave, never had a problem getting crafty stuff on a plane except for my circular knitting needles on the way back from Mexico. Interesting. David and Rave says, Sean, you hem on a train? That must mean pins, chalk, full works as well, or just a trusty roll of thread and needle. Yeah, no, just a trusty roll of thread and a needle, because I'm like, so I've already sewn the bias binding down. I'm just like hand finishing a hem. That's all I ever do. And that's okay to Darcy. Joker Clee says, unfortunately, all we really have right here is sand, but I'll take that over clay, given how much rain we can get in a very short period of time if the rains actually do come. Rachel says, I do, but I also take Prosecco, so Yeah, I was saying that my usual thing, if I'm going out to the seafront of any kind, it's usually because there's food and drink involved. So very little actual work gets done. And if I'm going by myself, I will take a book rather than like anything handcrafty. Nimoy says, and there is a call for food. You'll probably be done afterwards. Have a lovely week, everyone, and stay hydrated. You too. Enjoy your lunch. HG Cupcake says, hello, my favourite sewist, Lady S, and any new vintage patterns you've purchased. Hope your hips okay. I haven't purchased any new vintage patterns. The only new patterns I've picked recently are these two. Whoop, standing on my dress. These two. Like, hello, the 80s called. I want their shell suits back. So those are my two newest patterns, and I bought them and printed them out, stuck them together, cut them out, and sewed them up pretty much the same day that I bought them. They're both from Grasser, and yeah, I like them both. I like them both a lot. But it's definitely not appropriate to be wearing a full French terry outfit in this weather. Elena says to Darcy, secular knitting needles are extra weapony weapon. Dave on a Rave says, oh, makes sense. Love how you demonstrate with the hem of the dress you are currently wearing. Imagine hemming it whilst wearing it. Probably possible, but not sitting down. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, there's 6.5 meters of hem here, so I could definitely, like, maneuver myself around, but it probably wouldn't be the most elegant of operations. Ginger Ninja Sews says, afternoon all. Hello. Peter says, love knitting or crocheting when out and about because I can also listen to something at the same time. Darcy says, my crafty supplies are my armour except for circular needles because they are a grot. Michelle says, rum limits using sharp objects. Yes. Aishi Cupcake says, love them. Elena says, that dress does remind me of Star Trek more and more each time I see it. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? That's the one that I'm thinking about using, the Kitty French Terry that you sent me. I'm thinking about doing the body of it in the Kitty French Terry and then doing like an orange bib. I'm thinking, but I might not. I don't know. I've got so much of it because you sent me like nearly 3 meters. I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. I might make a couple of things with it. We shall see. Darcy says Councillor Troy's dress. Yes, it also kind of reminds me of the uniforms in the new Fantastic Four. So, yeah. Joe says, I won Bobbin Chicken. Yay! Always exciting when that happens. Yes. Yes. How are we doing? I could have a drink. There's currently a vote up on Patreon for the next sew-along pattern, and I think it's going to end up being this one that gets picked. And I'm going to turn it into a dress. I'm quite excited because I think it's going to be really cute, but it's going to be interesting making that bit fit over my boobs. So, yeah, I think that's the one that's winning the vote. I think there's a couple more days on the vote, so yeah. And I'm thinking I might actually use that orange print linen for it because I think that could look really pretty. We shall see. Dave Narave says, I did once need some trousers lifted as an emergency. A dry cleaner's seamstress kindly did it for me by hand. Whilst I stood still by the mirror, she was a gem. Oh, bless. Elena says, what about the dress that you made of that rose print? Oh, yeah, that's a possibility. I've not made one of those out of French terry, but that could look really cool. I wonder if I'd have enough fabric to steal the sleeves from Sheridan sweater. Ooh, maybe. Joker Clee says, Darcy, I realized we forgot something vitally important to the live. The fruit. Lol. Dave Moreau says, no, I'm getting confused. She was an actual tailor shopkeeper. Oh, still, very nice of her to do that for you. Darcy's adding the fruit. Cassie says, oh no, there's a cowl insert neck dress in the hairy bird. That dress reminds me of, it's Gabby Hoffman's character's sister that's wearing it almost in the credits. The Star Trek dress, yeah. Caroline says, in Portugal, men's trousers come unhemmed, according to James. That makes sense. It's like, I think Zara specifically do their trousers extra long so that you can have them hemmed to the right level for you. Elena says, it will be warm, but autumn appropriate. It will be. It will be. Yeah, maybe I could do that dress. I kind of want the Sheridan sleeves. I love the Sheridan sleeves. They are epic. It's my Sheridan. They're quite big, but they're not actually super big, are they? And then I could do the cuffs and the neckband of the dress in like a contrasting solid color. Yeah. So much 80s going on over here. Dave Narave says she was wearing a thick woolly jumper, so felt comfortable but surreal as she was kneeling under my legs for like 10 minutes. She wouldn't take any extra for it, smiled and shook her head. As in the jumper felt comfy against leg and it kind of calmed me down. Lol. Nice. Elena says, and you can add patch pockets. I would not add pockets to that dress. No pockets on that dress. I mean, I know I'm wearing a dress with epic pockets now, and I love these pockets on this dress, but I'm not a huge fan of the pockets for the sake of pockets. Just trying to think about patch pockets on that 9199. I don't know. I don't think I would. David Rove says, surreal day that was. Yes, I can imagine. So, yeah. I'm trying to finish off my liter of water. Technically, it's actually squash. If it was water, I definitely wouldn't be drinking it. The Wandering Sower says, hi, Sean, long time no seen. This is Diana. Hello, lovely. How are you? Yes, I haven't watched your latest vlog. I must do that. I saw that it had gone up. But yes, it's lovely to see you. So yeah, I'm literally just sort of sitting around and chatting at you guys today because the things that I need to do are things that I need to get up and kind of like move around to do, and I will lose track of the chat and it will just, yeah, I don't have the brain power to do more than 2 things at once, and sitting and talking is 2 things. So yes, my ring would be happy with me though. I got the Ultra Human ring and I am loving it. It's going to be in the next Waffle, the unboxing, and my first thoughts about it will be in that video. And they're doing some discounts at the moment as well, if you guys fancy having one. The amount of stuff this thing tracks is amazing. So yeah, highly recommend if you're in the market for something like a Fitbit. Definitely. Diana says, and you doing well. I'm excited about the trip home this summer, so I am sewing an Avenir jumpsuit to travel in. I thought it would look nice and be comfy. Yeah, lovely. The only thing with jumpsuits and traveling is if you're on a plane, think about having to use the bathroom in a jumpsuit. Sorry, that's immediately where my brain went. It was just like airplane bathrooms, bad. Cassie says multitasking is overrated. Multitasking is definitely beyond me at the moment. Yeah, 100% beyond me at the moment. But yeah, so apparently even sitting here and actually thinking about what I'm trying to say is also beyond me at the moment. I will get there. It will be fine. It will be fine. So. Yes, I think I've said this like 3 times now. My plans for today: pack up destash fabrics. So there's 3 parcels to do. cut out double circle skirt, except it's going to not probably end up being a double circle skirt. Diana says, oh yeah, you have a point. It would be a perfect outfit for like the first day of your holiday, but I think, or your time home, but I do think a jumpsuit on an airplane is risky. Sorry to scupper your plans. Yeah, it's like that meme of that cartoon of the girl who's just skipping around in a jumpsuit. She's like, I feel so fabulous, and then she's on the bathroom completely naked, on the loo completely naked, just like, okay, I regret my life decisions. sorry to put a spanner in the works. But yes, no, double circle skirt, cut that out. Although it's probably not going to, it's probably going to be a circle and a half skirt, I think, for the amount of fabric I have and the fact that I want to get a top out of this as well. And then shirt dress for sew along and start on shirt project. That's the plan. That's the plan for this afternoon. Cassie says, me every day lately, found a lump on my head and I joke that my brains are falling out, thinking no work. Yeah. I've always kind of like been fairly amused by mum and dad when they walk into a room and they're like, why am I here? I forgot what I'm here for. And yeah, that's now happening to me. So I'm just like, I completely forgot what I've walked up all these stairs. I mean, not that we have many stairs in our house, but I've completely forgotten what I've walked up these stairs for. Diana says it's okay, maybe a dress is better, so I won't touch the floor, because pants would have a similar problem. No, I mean, honestly, I fly in this dress. This is my 8577. I make these to fly in. I know it's a lot of skirt, but these pockets are so big that they fit my wallet, my passport, my boarding card, all that kind of stuff in my pockets, so I don't have to worry about like lugging my handbag around with me. And because it's a decently wide skirt, you can hoik everything up and forward and put it on your lap so that it doesn't trail on the floor when you are using the bathroom. So for me, 857s are perfect traveling dresses, but that is me. It's also quite nice because there is so much fabric in the skirt that you can kind of like surround your legs in it and not get chilly on the flight, and obviously like a little cover up as well, because I always get cold on flights. So that's my travel outfit. I realize that I am probably annoying to the people that I have to sit next to, but usually it's my family, so it's not the end of the world. Elena says that's me every day, walking into rooms and forgetting why you got that. Yeah, I'm glad it's not just me. I just have those moments where I'm just like, why am I here? What am I doing? So, yes. Right. Guys, my tummy's rumbling. I know it's not been an hour yet, but my tummy is rumbling, so I think I need to go and get some food. Diana says, I have the every day's a weekend dress from Pattern Emporium that is made in an ITY that will not wrinkle. Ooh, that could work. I think just something that's got big pockets in it that you can put all your stuff in, your passport and boarding pass and phone and those kind of things, so that, yeah, you're kind of like hands-free. That's usually my requirement for traveling, but yeah. Anyway, like I say, I know it's only been 43 minutes, but I am thinking that I need to go and eat because my tummy is actually going to start making loud protests soon, which you might be able to hear because I do have a microphone plugged in, which is fairly sensitive. So thank you very much for joining me today. There is a fabric haul and a pattern collection video coming out next week. One of them's already edited, the other one's half done. So theoretically, the videos are all out. Fingers crossed next week the bruise will have completely gone and I won't be looking quite so battered. So fingers crossed for that. And there will be the Wednesday night Zoom call for the $10 and $15 tier peeps. And then it will be an afternoon hangout next week. So I shall see you for all of those things, hopefully, then. And thank you for hanging out with me today. Bye.